It's opening day. New tonight on our news, live at 7. The $250 million Nassau cruise port officially opens, and we are there. Also, safe and sound. A missing teen returned to his family after this week's latest Marco alert. Plus, wrapping up the fight for workers. The National Congress of Trade Unions at the ready over outstanding contractual issues. And will not budge. Coming up in our news at 7:30, government stance on fuel margins for petroleum retailers taking the association by surprise. Our news live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to our news live at 7. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Kendino Knowles. We want to apologize for our late start tonight, but thank you for staying with us. And now to some breaking news as a giant in Bahamian politics and government passing away today. Late this afternoon, our news confirming the death of George Smith, a former Progressive Liberal Party cabinet minister. The 83-year-old served as one of the longest members of parliament in history. He represented Exuma from 1968 to 1992. He also served, as a parliamentary secretary in the office of the Prime Minister in charge of the Independent Secretariat in 1973. He was among the last surviving founding fathers of our independent nation. Following an illustrious and sometimes even controversial career in politics, he recently served as a special advisor to the Bahamas government on activities related to our 50th anniversary of independence. We are following this, and we'll have more for you coming up in our news at 7:30. And now to another story we are following tonight as Phase 1 of the revitalization of the Nassau Cruise Port is officially complete, making way for the opening ceremony that's currently underway. The $250 million project includes a number of rejuvenation efforts that are expected to be a major catalyst for the redevelopment of downtown, as well as attract thousands more visitors to New Providence. Our Megan Shepherd is standing by at the opening. We'll check in with her a little bit later. But now to former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis calling the cruise port project, which was started under his administration, the F&M's baby.
We're very happy about that. The PLP was somewhat against such a project, but I'm certain they'd be there, all teeth smiling from ear to ear. I would only say to the Bahamian populace that we have to utilize the catalyst or utilize the benefits of the port. We must move towards what the tourists would want, and try to develop those infrastructure, those things. One of the greatest complaints now is Bay Street, the state of Bay Street. Of course, we would have had great plans for that.
He says another complaint is that there is nothing to do.
And I would hope that all the historic sites, etc., government would get those ready. And there are other plans that we would have had, that they would review the books, see what plans we had in terms of boardwalk going straight to Iraqi and helping to change the whole Iraqi ambience and make it even more attractive and enticing to tourists. It is now, but you always can improve on various different things.
All right, if you want to see his comments again, you can head over to ournews.bs. A woman accused of abusing her boyfriend's 10-year-old daughter has been granted $3,000 bail. Kaylee Ferguson appeared before Senior Magistrate Cara Turnquest-DeVoe charged with cruelty to children. The 38-year-old is accused of pinching the child and pulling her hair. The incidents allegedly took place from January to May of this year. Ferguson has denied the allegations. Her trial is set to begin on September 14th. Meanwhile, police need your help finding two gunmen they say shot a woman in the Cambridge Street area. Officers say they were alerted to the shooting in the Baintown community by Shot Spotter Technology around 2:25 Thursday afternoon. Initial investigations confirming the woman was shot in the upper torso after two men on a black Krypton motorcycle opened fire and chased a man in the area. Police say their target escaped without being harmed. It's unclear, though, if the woman was a bystander or also a target. She was taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital in a private vehicle and remains in stable condition. The adult in this incident is assisting police with the ongoing investigation. And now to a happy ending for the family of a teen who was reported missing earlier this week. This morning, police telling us that 15-year-old Candino Stirrup is now safe at home with his family. A missing poster was issued for the dumping ground corner resident early Tuesday morning. Later that night, a Marcos alert was sent to phones across the country. It was the second alert sent out in a matter of days. On Saturday night, a Marcos alert was sent for 20-year-old Kyle Carey. The Pink Coral Drive resident has not been seen since May 11th. His family is still searching for answers. Well, as Labor Week approaches, the National Congress of Trade Unions says it's ramping up efforts to fight for workers. Congress executives say one of the major issues centers on contractual workers. President of the Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union, Sherry Benjamin, had this to say.
We don't know where this creature came from with contractual staff, but however, it's a creature that we're trying to stamp out because it doesn't benefit the workers in this country and it doesn't benefit the employers of this country. And so while they believe it's beneficial to them in the long run, it hurts everybody, and especially our families.
Benjamin explaining that these contracts prohibits individuals from having a bright future.
They are not able to go to the bank to just simply borrow money to buy a car, to get a home. There is no future for those persons. And so we're asking the powers that be to help us to stomp this out, because it seems as if this is becoming a norm now, and everybody seems to be piggybacking off of whatever successes that other companies has had with contractual staff.
All right, there's much more for us to get to tonight, but for now, it's time for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center. Greg?
Peace. Well, Thursday evening, every Friday evening, everybody. One day ahead. We are comfortably cool outside, 77 degrees, under partly cloudy skies. The winds are out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature is at 77. Right now it's 81 degrees in Freeport and in Marshall, Barbacoa, some showers up near that area. Alistown, Bimini, 81 also, and in Great Harbor Key, 82 in Nicholstown, Andros, Governor's Harbor, 83 into the Central Bahamas, 84 in Kemps Bay. We pick up 83 in Georgetown and Deadman's Key, 82 in Arthurstown, Cat Island, Coburn Town, San Salvador, 80 with some showers and thunderstorms nearby, and in the south to East Bahamas, 84 in Duncantown, Ragged Island, Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Abrahams Bay, Delectable Bay, 83, 88 in Providenciales, Matthewtown, Inagua. You guys are 85 at this hour. Another wet and unsettled pattern across our area today. Lots of showers and moisture still in place with that upper level and surface low. The surface low is actually just to the north of us, starting to pull towards the north and east. But that upper level is pumping a lot of moisture across our area and it's keeping us unsettled. So we're looking for some more showers tonight through tomorrow. We even had a strong thunderstorm here in the capital earlier today, and we expect this condition to improve for the rest of the weekend. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. So look at your extended forecast is still coming.
We are just getting started in our news, but when we come back, healthcare is back in the news as the country works towards universal health coverage. The latest from officials on making it possible. And we are following government's push for corporate income tax as an economist jumps in the conversation, saying it cannot be rushed. Plus, work in progress is back tonight. The focus takes us to Long Island as works officials share the latest on existing infrastructure projects when our news returns.
Shareholders are very happy.
The Bahamas is working towards universal health coverage as Bahamians struggle with the cost of health care. Jamila Mizik reports tonight about the Ministry of Health and Wellness's plan that was discussed this week at the 76th World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland.
Universal health coverage means that all people have access to the full range of quality health services they need, when and where they need them without financial hardship. It's something the country is working toward. However, Public Hospitals Authority Managing Director Dr. Abined Rule says because the Bahamas is an archipelago, there are challenges with universal health care delivery due to access limitations and fragmentation.
Our goal is for integrated, people-centered service delivery to adequately meet the health needs of the population and achieve a universal standard of service.
The managing director, adding the Ministry of Health and Wellness has commenced a national health system strengthening initiative to integrate the delivery of care in both the public and private sectors.
A transformation management initiative has been mandated to develop an integrated health service delivery network to reduce the challenges of fragmented health care systems and effectively improve the overall patient experience.
Rule noting the Bahamas is in its fourth stage of evaluating the essential public health functions, which will guide a national health system strengthening initiative to integrate the delivery of care in both the public and private sectors.
Active consideration is being given to sustainable funding sources for the implementation of catastrophic care beyond primary care, removing the financial burden of life-saving care.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jamila Missick.
All right, well, as discussions on the implementation of a corporate income tax continues, economist Edison Sumner joining the conversation saying the most viable option is to implement a standard income tax for all businesses. However, he says it appears the Bahamas is being strong-armed to comply with recommendations by the OECD. The Bahamas is among other countries that will implement a 15% income tax by 2024, but Sumner is saying we must take our time.
It cannot be done through a rush to please the OECD. We've got to take our pace, take our time, make sure that that everyone in the country understands what this tax includes. Two, to be sure that the businesses especially are in the place where they are ready to comply with this tax, if that is going to be the case. And three, to be sure that if we introduce the corporate income tax, that is not going to be harmful to the business community.
Attorney General Ryan Pinder emphasized this week that no policy position has been taken on the matter, but Sumner is stressing the need for all businesses to read the Green Paper and to give their honest feedback on the matter. He suggests the deadline for implementation may be too soon.
The time between now and 2024 certainly can be for an extended public consultation process, public education process, because we first have to determine which of the four models we're going to use. Then we've got to dig deep into that model and now say, this is how it's going to impact upon the business community and the economy of the country. Then we've got to go through the process of implementing this, right? And which in itself can take, in my view, probably take a couple of years just to go through that process properly.
And now to work in progress, as the Ministry of Works and Utilities outlining a laundry list of projects underway throughout the Family Islands, but they certainly don't come without their challenges. In tonight's segment, our Marlena Leonard puts the focus on Long Island.
Senior engineer for the Family Islands, David Cox, tells us Family Island projects can come with extra hurdles, and ongoing work on Long Island is no exception.
5 miles of road resurfacing, and this is in hot mix asphalt. The contractor has been working there for the past 2.5 years. He's been facing some serious challenges on that project. The project, as I said, was 5 miles, and so far he's done 1.5 miles of paving.
Cox says the main issue has been a result of the need for granite in the hot mix asphalt project. In pre-pandemic times, granite was easily sourced from Canada, but now they find themselves trying to get it from Caribbean sources.
One of the challenges that we're having right now is they purchased material from Jamaica, and when it came into Long Island on the ship, the ship couldn't get to the dock, right? Because the ship was so large and the draft is so low. So they had to get a feeder barge to come in and take the material from the big boat to the small one, then take it to the dock. When the ship came in, the large ship came in, the swells were too high and they couldn't get the smaller ship, to come side it and take the materials off.
While the landing logistics have posed some holdups, the senior engineer remains hopeful the project will be completed soon.
We're seeing the light right now. We have our materials that are on the way. and hopefully we will, once we get the materials, the works will be finished maybe about the third quarter of this year.
Reporting for Work in Progress for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as a male passenger opens the door of an Asiana Airlines plane mid-flight. This as Turks and Caicos launches Operation Pursuit with a zero-tolerance approach on illegal migration. And the 2012 resignation of former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham in Today in History when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. An Asiana Airlines plane has landed safely in South Korea after a male passenger opened its door mid-flight on Friday. That's according to a company spokesperson who said all passengers were seated with seatbelts fastened because the plane was about to land. Video footage filmed by a person on the flight and obtained by Yonhap News Television showed wind rushing in from the open door. No one was hurt in the incident, but 9 people were transferred to a nearby hospital after suffering breathing issues. Authorities say the passenger has been detained. Meanwhile, former U.S. President Donald Trump mocking Florida governor and presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, calling him sanctimonious, and mocked his polling numbers on videos uploaded to Truth Social on Thursday. Trump said DeSantis' handling of legal dispute with Disney was a mess and that he intended to, quote, show the fake news how tough a guy he is.
Rob DeSanctimonious and his poll numbers are dropping like a rock. I would almost be inclined to say these are record falls. The question, is Rob just young, inexperienced, and naive, or, more troubling, is he a fool who has no idea what the hell he's doing? We already have one of those in office. We don't need another one. We need MAGA, Make America Great Again. That's what we want, Make America Great Again. We have no choice. This is the last shot we've got at it.
Britain's late Queen Elizabeth II faced a potential assassination threat 40 years ago ahead of a trip to the United States. That's according to newly released documents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. One document appears to detail a trip to San Francisco police, or detail a tip, that is, to the San Francisco police about a month before that visit regarding a phone call from a man who claimed his daughter had been killed in Northern Ireland by a rubber bullet and also claimed he was going to attempt to harm the Queen. A 103-page file was posted to the FBI's online records site on Tuesday, covering preparations for several trips the late Queen made to the U.S. And now to the region, as U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris will travel to the Bahamas next month for a high-level meeting with Caribbean leaders. It's the first time Harris, who has Jamaican roots, will visit the Caribbean since taking office in 2021. The trip also coincides with Caribbean American Heritage Month, which celebrates the long-standing people-to-people ties between the Caribbean and the United States. The White House said the June 8th meeting, which will be co-hosted by Prime Minister and CARICOM Chair Philip Davis, builds on the Vice President's previous meetings with Caribbean leaders held last year. The Turks and Caicos Islands putting illegal migrants on notice about a no-nonsense approach on illegal migration with the launch of Operation Pursuit this week. Minister responsible for border services and immigration Arlington Musgrove, who announced the new policy earlier this week, said it would take immediate effect.
This will be a very broad operation, and agency will be carrying out activities in all sectors and across the entire Turks and Caicos Islands. This will not be a one-off operation like those in the past, but will be a sustained and consistent approach to removing persons who irregularly and illegally reside in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I am again encouraging persons who fall into this category to please leave.
Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was May 26th, including 2 2017 resolutions to allow for $1 billion in borrowing. And then in our news at 7:30, a case involving the leader of a fringe political group heads to the highest court. Details of the case now before the Privy Council, straight ahead. And why a pastor and former member of parliament says rape and marriage don't belong in the same sentence. Our news is back in a moment. All right, welcome back to Our News. It's time now to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was May 26th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history in 2012, the resignation of former Prime Minister Hubert Alexander Ingram took effect. Ingram announced his resignation as leader of the Free National Movement after his parties defeated the polls on May 7th that year. Ingram served as Prime Minister from 1992 to 2002 and then again from 2007 to 2012. Then in 2013, the inaugural Pure Silk Bahamas LPGA Classic, which was held at the Ocean Club Golf Course on Paradise Island, came to an end. Il-hee Lee of South Korea won the event. In 2015, focus shifted to Parliament, where a heated argument ensued in the House of Assembly over a decision by the chair of the opposition-led Public Accounts Committee, Hubert Chipman, to get up on the adjournment and attack a ruling of the Speaker. Fred Mitchell, at the time, was Minister of Foreign Affairs and objected to the points raised.
It's the power of the House, and nothing can be enforced. Even if it is a select committee, nothing can be enforced. Nothing can be enforced unless you have the power of the House behind you. And if you don't have the power of the House, it's useless.
May 26, 2017 saw the first graduating class from the newly accredited University of the Bahamas.
This university has begun its transformation into a world-class university. And just like how you as students have been transformed over the past 4 or 5 years and have become worthy to be conferred with your respective degrees, so too in just a few short years, your alma mater, in addition to having the clear distinction of having credits and degrees accepted all over the world, will also have the distinction of having international accreditation, allowing students from around the world to have comfort in knowing that the University of the Bahamas is recognized as being on par with or above the level of academic excellence offered at other universities.
Then in 2021, the country learned of the Minnis administration's plan to borrow $1 billion. Then Prime Minister Hubert Minnis told the country the money was to finance COVID-19 mitigation expenses for the remainder of the fiscal year.
The Prime Minister stood on his feet for nearly 3 hours today as he outlined his administration's plans for the country's finances over the next fiscal year.
Extraordinary times call for an extraordinary response.
And finally, on this day in 2022, Our News reported on Long Island MP Adrian Gibson, who was in police custody, accused of getting $1.1 million in kickbacks from contracts awarded by the Water and Sewage Corporation while he served as its executive chairman from 2018 to 2021. Gibson has since been charged along with 5 others. The trial was expected to begin this week, but the Court of Appeal issued a stay on the proceedings. All right, to watch that historical recap again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That's going to do it for us in News at 7. Our News at 7:30 continues now with Atalia Hall. She's got the latest headlines. Atalia?
All right, well, it's a big day for officials of the Nassau Cruise Port as the official opening getting underway just moments ago, and we are still following the standoff between government and petroleum retailers. Here are your latest headlines. The official opening first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. After years of anticipation, the new Nassau Cruise Port opens this evening in downtown Nassau. Our Megan Shepard is on location. Plus, following a continuous debate on fuel margins between government and petroleum retailers, the president of the association says they are out of patience. Also, a U.S. teen, while on a high school graduation trip, is still missing in Bahamian waters. New details as the search continues by Bahamian and U.S. authorities. And later, following redevelopment plans announced for the government-owned mansion La Playa, the former prime minister is calling the project a waste of money.
There's a lack of security where they're going now because of the beach. Individuals moving up and down, and they can easily have access.
Our News Live at 7:30 starts in a moment. Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. We are following the opening of the $250 million Nassau cruise port, which is now underway as phase one of its revitalization is finally complete. But we begin with some breaking news tonight as we are just learning former Cabinet Minister George Smith has died. He was 83. Smith, who served as the Member of Parliament for Exuma from 1968 to 1992, was among the founding fathers of our independent nation. He also served as a parliamentary secretary in the Office of Prime Minister, in charge of the Independent Secretariat in 1973, and was recently appointed special advisor for the 50th anniversary of independence celebrations. This clip now from his last appearance on the record with Jerome Sawyer about 2 years ago, talking about legislating through politics.
What's different from when you and others as young parliamentarians came to the House of Assembly under Sir Lyndon Pinling? What's different then, or what was different then, and in your opinion, why do we have these deficiencies? What has happened?
Well, firstly, the motivation. In those days, most people who ran for the House of Assembly ran because they wanted to make life better for the Bahamian people, which meant they wanted to get to know the Bahamian people well, that they have a responsibility not just to deal with the lawbreakers, but to help to keep peace in the community. We truly made an effort to represent the hopes and the aspirations of the people who we were fortunate to vote for us. People want to run for the House of Assembly so they could be in the House of Assembly, so they could take advantage of business deals and opportunities, develop a relationship with quote-unquote foreign investors, and forget about them investing their time and effort in the people for whom they are literally in work for in the House, in the interest of the business of the Bahamian people.
Well, Smith was looking forward to being interviewed by Our News on the crafting of the document of independence, and we were certainly looking forward to speaking with him. Our News sends sincerest condolences to his family. May his soul rest in peace. While the nation's leader, Prime Minister Philip Davis, giving his condolences on the passing of former Cabinet Minister George Smith, who he called a personal friend and respected colleague that was committed to the nation. The Prime Minister noting that while Smith was the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Local Government, he played a significant role in the production of agricultural and marine products, which led to the economic empowerment of many citizens. The PM adding that Smith was steadfast in his dedication to empowering ordinary Bahamians, adding that his life and legacy will continue to inspire generations. Well, a woman is dead tonight following a traffic fatality on Prince Charles Drive. Police tells us that it was around 4 p.m. when a white Daihatsu Mira and a white flatbed truck collided. The woman who was driving the white Daihatsu Mira was headed east along Prince Charles Drive. The driver of the flatbed truck headed west. Following the impact, the driver of the truck lost control, crashing into a utility pole and then into a parked vehicle. The woman died on the scene while the driver of the truck received injuries and was taken to hospital. His condition is unknown at this time. A fight between two women at a local bar ended in gunfire, and now police need your help finding the female suspect they say opened fire. The incident reportedly occurred shortly after 1 a.m. Police say the women got into an altercation at Minnie Street Bar. Following the fight, one of the women reportedly went to a silver Japanese vehicle, got a handgun, and opened fire. An employee of the bar and was not involved in the altercation was shot in both legs. Well, aspiring politician Lincoln Bain has won a legal battle to have his appeal concerning a failed business deal decided by the Privy Council. The Court of Appeal granted Bain conditional leave to appeal its judgment that he had to repay Zinnia Rolls $64,000. Bain's now defunct company, Banny Shoe Warehouse, was also ordered to repay Rolls $3,143. Rolls sued Bain after she gave him $40,000 in 2010 to invest. The money was to be held in trust for a period of 3 years at a 10% interest rate per annum. She alleged that Bain never invested the money and failed to return it. While government's firm stance on fuel margins for petroleum retailers taking the association by surprise. That's according to their president, Raymond Jones, who says time is up, adding that the association will do what it has to do for their businesses to survive. Berthing McDermott has the story.
A standoff may be looming between the government and the Bahamas Petroleum Retailers Association. The group is remaining firm in its position after government maintained its firm stance on fuel margins on Thursday. Association President Raymond Jones says they will continue to take steps to mitigate rising costs.
It's a price control item, and we need the government to act on what they had agreed to act on, as opposed to taking, an on and off approach to saying, yes, we understand, we're going to do something about it, here's our proposal, and the very next day to say that, oh, we can't do anything.
On Thursday, Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis said the government is not considering a further increase despite the association's threats of further action. It followed retailers briefly stopping the sale of diesel earlier this week.
So their response yesterday was not welcome per se. It wasn't really expected, given the fact that they gave us a proposal of what they would do. So, we have no choice but to just put the facts according to how we see it.
The association says time is up, with Jones adding they've exhausted all avenues to mitigate cost.
We've exhausted the things that we can do short of, reducing hours, sending all the staff home, and go to full service. There's nothing else we can do.
Retailers are pushing for a 7.8% increase on the landed cost of fuel, which Jones says amounts to an additional 40 cents at the pumps. Fuel retailers earn a fixed margin of 54 cents on every gallon on gasoline and 34 cents for diesel. Jones says the increase in electricity along with the hike in minimum wage is eating away at their earnings.
All we're asking for is an adjustment to the margin that allows us to cover these operating costs.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
And now to the opening of the $250 million Nassau Cruise Port, which is underway as phase one of its revitalization is finally complete. Now the project includes a number of rejuvenation efforts that are expected to be a major catalyst for the redevelopment of downtown Nassau, as the port is projected to attract thousands more visitors to the island. Well, our Megan Shepard is standing by at the opening. Megan?
Thanks. Well, I can tell you that being here on property, the 4 years spent on the redevelopment and improvements here at the Nassau Cruise Port paid off, as it is extremely beautiful here on property. Now, the $300 million project included a number of upgrades and renovations, including the building of a new berth. They also repaired and refurbished all piers, which means that the Nassau Cruise Port can now accommodate 6 ships per day, and that includes Icon or Oasis ships. That also means that they can now welcome 30,000 guests per day. That is 10,000 more from what they currently welcome to the cruise port. Now, the new cruise port also promises to be a center that celebrates Bahamian culture and the 300-year-long history of New Providence. Now, one of those things that will welcome guests will be a new Junkanoo Museum, and it promises to be an immersive experience. Now, also happening tonight, the Prime Minister is expected to give remarks. CEO of the Nassau Cruise Port, Mike Morris, also expected, and a number of government officials are here on property, and they will be giving remarks talking about what this cruise port will mean for Nassau and, by extension, the entire island of New Providence. Now, this signifies the completion of phase one of this project, and work is already underway for phase two, which is expected to be completed by the year 2024. Reporting from the Nassau Cruise Port, I'm Megan Shepard. Back to you in studio.
Showers today and some more rain is expected throughout the weekend. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with a first look at weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and welcome everybody for a quick check on conditions outside the studio. 77 degrees under partly cloudy skies. The winds out of the west now at 5 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature is at 77. Taking a look at our satellite view, a lot of moisture with a surface low and a frontal boundary that's stalled to the north of us, continuing to keep us in an unsettled weather pattern. That low is actually going to continue to lift towards the north and away from us. We're looking for some improvements, but the moisture in place will remain with us. So we are still expecting a few showers and some thunderstorms throughout the weekend. That's a quick check on conditions around the island. Stick with us. We'll tell you how the weekend is shaping up.
The conversation continues, still to come on our news. A pastor and former member of parliament weighs in on marital rape. Plus, a waste of money. That statement from former Prime Minister Hubert Minnis on plans for a government-owned mansion on Bay Street. And later, laborers across the country will parade through the streets of Nassau in a little over a week. This year, the 5 women who tragically lost their lives in the annual parade 5 years ago will be remembered. That's all coming up when our news returns.
At Doctors Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off labs, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. An American teen who's missing at sea after police say he jumped from a pleasure vessel has been identified as a recent high school graduate from Louisiana. Footage reportedly of the 18-year-old swimming in the dark waters near Athol Island circulated on social media. American media has identified the teen as Cameron Robbins, who attended University Laboratory School in Baton Rouge and graduated on Sunday. Robbins was on a trip with a group of students when police say he reportedly jumped overboard around 9:40 on Wednesday night. Well, the discussion continues tonight on the topic of marital rape as there continues to be a widespread debate across the country. In this report, a leader within the church and a former member of parliament is weighing in on the issue.
If a man has to rape his wife, the marriage is over. But equally so, as Rex Major was indicating, we have to be very careful.
Former member of parliament, Pastor Frederick McAlpine, says rape and marriage does not belong in the same sentence. He says there seems to be a charge to destroy traditional family values as the Bahamian society knows it.
If a man beats his wife and then want to have sex with her immediately thereafter, that's sick. That's sickening. And he needs psychiatric help. Yes, we need to have some kind of law to deal with that. But to put a man who is married in the same connotation with the man on the street who is a criminal that rapes a woman, I don't think so. And let me ask this question. So when the children come and ask mommy, where's daddy? Daddy's in jail. Why? Because he raped me. We're destroying a whole family.
And he says that would only create animosity and hatred.
I'm not saying that we don't need to deal with these areas of spousal abuse. But we need to count the cost and make sure we know what we're doing. What about the law being friendlier to men in family life? We just somehow believe if a woman say it is true.
The former MP says there needs to be balance in society.
Stop competing. What is this man against woman, woman against man? Let's complement each other.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis weighing in on the announcement of another proposed redevelopment of La Playa, the government-owned dilapidated mansion and overgrown property near Goodman's Bay. While in government, Dr. Minnis slammed the Christie administration for wasting money with nothing to show. He's now calling this new project a waste of money. Megan Shepard has this report.
Today, the La Playa property sits unkept and run down. While in government back in 2021, former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis raised concerns over the purchase of La Playa by the Progressive Liberal Party back in 2007 to the tune of some $3.6 million. He says his government did not agree with the purchase, as land was already reserved for the office of the Prime Minister. He says his administration wanted to sell the property and develop an infrastructure development fund.
And we were going to put all of government buildings and land, etc., in that fund and ask Bahamians to invest in that, and that infrastructure fund would then be used to build into improved infrastructure in the Bahamas. Example, the bridge for Elutra infrastructure throughout. And it would have been Bahamian money and they would have gotten good returns, etc.
Dr. Minnis emphasizing that the F&M under his previous administration would not support this recent announcement.
The estimate in 2015 for a protocol house was $9 million. Things have changed, things have gone up since the COVID. So we're talking about now about $14-15 million for that project, for a protocol house, when you know that you have property put aside for official residence of the Prime Minister with adequate space to place guest houses for whichever guests, whomever they are visiting the country or the Prime Minister.
He is calling the project a waste of money.
Why not concentrate on the plan where you can have proper security for an official residence of the Prime Minister, and you can put adequate guest houses there so when individuals visiting, you have the security, as opposed to there's a lack of security where they're going now because of the beach. Individuals moving up and down, and they cannot easily have access.
Bahamas Striping Group of Companies will be spearheading the redevelopment project within a 14-month timeline. When asked a price tag, the company's general manager was unable to give a figure at this time. Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
Labor Day parade, including a courtesy call on the family of the late Sir Randall Fox, a Thanksgiving service, and the introduction of a landmark initiative. A moment of silence will also be held during a portion of the parade in remembrance of the 5th anniversary of the tragic accident that left 5 women dead who attended the parade. Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union President Sherry Benjamin says officers will be on hand to maintain order on the parade.
We plan to meet with the Royal Bahamas Police Force very early next week, and we will be guided by their instructions. They will let us know what the do's and the don'ts of the parade would be, and we will follow their instructions as they give it, because they are the persons who would provide the necessary directions as it relates to the road safety for everyone who is going to be on the parade that day.
When our news comes back from the break, summer is just around the corner, and that means sun, sand, and swim for a lot of kids. But does your little one know how to swim? Hear how a local company is offering free swim lessons for students.
The men's national basketball team is headed to Argentina this summer, and we get you caught up on some high school soccer. Don't go anywhere. Our Sports is up next.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Bahamas Striping Group of Companies is sponsoring swim lessons for 300 school-aged students from the Fox Hill community. President of the Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, Ontario Mitchell, explains the motivation and the structure of the summer swim classes.
When you look at what happened a few years ago in our country, to whereby we had several kids lost their life in drowning incident, we remember that, and when we were putting together our program, we wanted to do something to help curb that, and I think this is a good initiative that we are doing. Also, with us being a part of the construction of the Fox Hill Community Center, as well as this pool, we think it was a good initiative to whereby we could utilize the facility.
Classes will run Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and swimming equipment is included in registration. Parents just need to make sure kids are dressed for swimming and have a towel. Business Development Manager for the Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, Astra Umbristerol, explains how to register.
We want to familiarize kids with water safety, and we want them to get comfortable in the water. We'll have 2 cohorts of students, 150 at a time, for the first month, another 150 for the second month. And Mr. Roll and his team of swim instructors are going to be using the Fox Hill Community Center to teach our kids how to swim. Registration will begin next week. It's all going to be done through our Facebook page. We'll upload the application. You can grab a copy of the application, fill it out, return it to us at Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, and we will put your child in a cohort and get them all ready to be coming down and learning how to swim.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
The national basketball team is gearing up for a full summer schedule, and we fill you in on the public school soccer finals. Here's Tej Adderley with a check on sports. Tej?
Thanks, Italia. The summer heat means that international basketball is on the horizon. The Bahamas national basketball program is getting ready to ride once again. Bahamas basketball head coach Moses Johnson announced in a press conference this week that the Bahamas basketball team is headed to the FIBA pre-Olympic tournament in Argentina. Coach Johnson made the announcement in a press conference where Bahamas Basketball Association President Eugene Horton outlined the selection process for the latest crop of Bahamas basketball coaches. The Bahamas currently has 3 NBA players and a crop of experienced overseas professionals and high-level college players to round out its ranks. Details were mum on who exactly will play in Argentina, but we will have the list as soon as it's available. Hopefully some of our NBA players can make the trip because the world needs to see what a full-strength Bahamas basketball team looks like. Moving on to local high school soccer. The public high school soccer championship finals are all wrapped up. Let's meet our new champs. The GSSSA soccer finals wrapped up at the Roscoe A. Davies Field earlier this week. HO Nash took home the championship in the junior girls division, beating CH Reeves 2-0. Anatole Rogers beat SC McPherson 3-1 to take the junior boys title. The CR Walker Knights beat Arm Bailey 3-0 with all 3 goals courtesy of a hat trick by Valtanique Simmons to win senior girls. And Government High beat CR Walker 2-1 to win the senior boys crown. Congratulations to all of our new champions. The Samuel P. Haven National High School Championships are happening right now and tomorrow. Check that out if you want to see our nation's best. That was your look at sports. I'm Tej Adderley. Have an amazing extended holiday weekend.
Still ahead on our news tonight, extremely wet conditions in the capital today causing some light flooding in some areas. Greg is back with your weekend weather planner when our news returns.
Welcome back to our news. Hopefully there's some beautiful weather this weekend following an extremely wet work week. Greg is back with the extended weather in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for our final check of weather. Yeah, we had some wet weather, and we're going to continue to see a couple more showers. Conditions will be improving as the weekend approaches us. Low pressure system to the north of us will pull towards the north and away. That's the low that the National Hurricane Center is giving about a 10% chance for some formation of possible tropical cyclone development. Upper level trough across the area will swing most of the moisture out, but conditions, as I mentioned, should be improving during the weekend as that system pulls away from us. Future forecast showing us moving into Saturday, a lot of improvement, just some spotty showers, but the lingering moisture will stay with us, and we could see a couple more showers on Sunday, but the bulk of it should stay out towards the east and away from us. Boating forecast for the Northwest Bahamas, a caution flag will be imposed for all you guys up there, especially the extreme northern islands. Winds will be southwesterly at 10 to 15 knot, seas 2 to 4 feet, but we have some building swells, so they will be up to 6 feet along the northern shores and northerly swells. Your low tide will be at 7:40 tonight. Here's a look now at your central and southeast Bahamas forecast. South-southeast winds to south-southwest 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. Now for a look at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, showers in the forecast Saturday, lingering moisture keeping us with some isolated showers through Monday, and we should see some cloudy conditions. There's another trough that's expected getting here sometime early next week. That's the reason why we start to see those cloudy conditions for next week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night. Have a great weekend and enjoy your holiday, everybody.
All right, thanks so much, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.